here. Olivia worked with Roger in The Enemy, I think, right? Your cousin worked with
Roger?
Yeah, in a film called The Enemy. Yeah, I think it's from 1990. It's one of the films I saw doing my research. Yeah. All right.
Okay, so what was the first question?
My only question is if you would like to share something about working with your bond, and then we'll turn it over to the audience.
Okay, well, it was a long time ago. It was 30 years ago, in 1986-87, when we shot The Living Daylights. We shot it in, we started off in Vienna the first week, where we had a big press conference. It was really wonderful. I was doing all the scenes with the symphony orchestra, playing the cello. Then we went off to Morocco and were in Tangier, and then we went in the desert in Ouarzazate. I think we were in Morocco for 6 weeks. That was incredible. And then we came back to London and we were working at Pioneer Studios, and then we went for a week shooting in the Austrian mountains of Weissensee, where it was freezing cold, where if you've seen the film, I did all the scenes going down the cello case, which look a lot of fun on the big screen, but I was actually not having that much fun doing it for over 3 days, and I was one who had to gear the cello case, and they had put little explosives under the snow, so when we passed it looked like they were shooting at us from behind. And I have a phobia of explosions, so here I am in a Bond movie. It was kind of also when we were in the desert, there were all these massive explosions. It was quite terrifying for me, because I really do have a fear of loud noises, and I couldn't have been on the worst movie for loud noises. However, I was playing a character who was a musician, so I could be excused for stupidities of, I was not meant to be a super heroine in that film, but more of a human character who was a cellist. Working with Timothy Dalton was a very good experience, because he's an absolute professional in every way as an actor. I mean, he comes from the theatre, and that makes a huge difference. So he's a very generous actor, very supportive, and I obviously was. Well, I think we both were a bit nervous to be on such a huge movie, but I was obviously the inexperienced one a little bit, and very nervous to be on a huge film like that. And he was very tremendous support as an actor. We had a lot of fun, though. I mean, I that experience of working on The Living Daylights for 5 months shooting was an amazing experience, because I love traveling. You're with a crew, everywhere you go, it's like a big family. Cubby Broccoli was still alive and fully produced the film. Bob Broccoli, who now produces the films with Michael Wilson, her brother, she was just a little associate producer. She's my age, so she was beginning. And it was a fantastic experience, I think, for all of us. We felt very, very close for those 5 months. So that was 1986, 1987. Long time ago, but the memories are vivid and will always stay with me.
Okay, you got Sir Roger Moore.
Yes, my name is Max Vesterhalt. And my experience with Bond was really just rather vicarious. It started with just me. I was living in Greece at the time. I was making it my home. And a photographer, unbeknownst to me, had taken my picture. I was just in the sea. I was in Mykonos. And I was just in the sea, just sitting in that beautiful Aegean. And he was taking a photo from a hill, so far away. He had a huge telephoto lens, and he took a picture of me, and he brought it to the Greek tourist board, who bought it. But he didn't have my signature, my permission. So he came to me and he told me what he had done. Well, I was a model. I said, well, the Greek tourist board, great. Because then that's broad. That means you're going everywhere. And so they did the campaign, which was postcards, posters, booklets, and it was me on the cover saying, "There's no place like Greece." It was a fabulous campaign. You know, in that business, you know which campaigns are really awesome, and it was an awesome campaign. It was so awesome that the Bond people saw it and saw the girl on the poster, on the cards, on the booklets, and said, "We have to have that girl. We've got to have that girl." So they called my agent in Athens, and she kept telling me, "Max, some movie people want you to do a movie." I didn't want to do movies. I just like doing my shot, getting it done, and I didn't want to stay anywhere too long. And so she kept asking me for like a couple of months. And I said, "I told you, Alexandra, I do not want to do a film. I don't want to do films." So she said, "Well, gee, Max, it's James Bond." And I was like, "What? Are you kidding me? All this time? It was James Bond?" I said, "Well, of course I'm going to do James Bond." So that's essentially how it started. Well, they came to Athens because they were going to be shooting in Greece to meet me. They had never met me. So I go in to meet them, and the guy says, "Oh no, no. We can't use you." And I said, "What do you mean you can't use me? You already hired me. You're just meeting me, but you hired me." And they said, no, I had just gone in naked face, and they said, "You're too young. We would have to get an XXX on our film, ratings if we hired you." And I said, "Oh, wait. I said, "You hired me. This is Bond. I'm not letting you go. What is the problem?" And they said, "You're too young." And I said, "Well, did you hire me from the poster?" And they said, "Yes." I said, "That's my job." I said, "I can look like what you want me to look like. That's my job. And I will be able to do this film." And so the producer, Jerry, he was like, "I don't know. He said, "Well, you know what? I'm gonna have you meet Cubby." That's Cubby Piccoli, as Maryam said. And I said, "Well, okay." He said, "Meet us at the Athens Hilton at 6 o'clock for cocktails." I said, "Oh no, can't do that. Can't do that. Athens is a very closed society. You see the same 300 people over and over." And at the time, I had a boyfriend, and if I met men at the Athens Hilton at cocktails, that was, it was like, ooh. And I didn't want to disturb my boyfriend. So there was another Greek director there that knew me, and he said, "Max, go to the meeting." He said, "I'll be at the bar." He said, "I'll tell Panos I'm there. I'm there. I'll watch everything. Everything will be good." And so I said, okay. I took Dimitri's word, and I met them at the bar. And we had a big table. There were like 6 of them, Hubby Piccoli and all of the other executives, and me. It's like looking like a little girl at the time. I could drink though. I was of age. I just looked young. So they're doing their Hollywood thing, and they're talking, and I'm eating and drinking and listening. And then they started playing a game. And the game was, you had to, you had to explain a film, or explain a scene in a film. And then the other people were supposed to name the film and name the major actors in the film. So they're going round and round, and then finally I said, I have one. Well, these were heavy hitter Hollywood honchos. They looked at me like, what? And I said, no, I have one. I have a film, I want you to guess it. So Cubby said, let her do it. So I said, okay, what was the film that Marlene Dietrich kissed another woman like she was a man? And they were like, what? I said, yeah, she kissed another woman like she was a man. And they couldn't get it. They didn't know the film. And they didn't know the lead actors. And so I sat there, I was young and a little arrogant. So I was like, yeah, okay. Ha ha ha, you thought I was dumb. And so they finally broke and they said, name it, okay, do it. And it was El Morocco, and the film, the stars were Marlene Dietrich, Gary Cooper, and Adolf Menschel. And they were like, whoa. And I said, and what was the year? And they were like, come on, come on. I said, it was 1933. My mother was a big movie buff, and so I would go to watch all of these movies with her. And so Cubby said, girl has the job. She has the job. So then they, discussed my part and what I was supposed to do. So I was very happy. So that was how I got the job of For Your Eyes Only. And it was with Roger. We did the main scene in the casino. I was supposed to have a larger part of being a young socialite that would meet James at the baccarat tables. I could play baccarat as well or better than he could. So that was my part, the initial part that I was supposed to have. And what happened was the original director became ill. And so they were looking, they wanted to get another director to continue filming. And instead of doing that, they hired John Glenn. That was his first directing of a full featured film. He was a stunt director prior to that.
He was my director too.
Oh, really? Okay.
He was a stunt director, but he was an editor.
Yes.
Assistant editor to, I think it was David Lean. He started off as an assistant editor, and then he became an editor.
Yeah, I didn't know about the editor, so that's good to know. I just knew that he was the stunt director. And being moved from being the stunt director and editor to full director, he was not comfortable with women at the time. And so if you notice with For Your Eyes Only, there were no assignations. He was supposed to take me out. He was supposed to have a love scene with me. And because John at the time was just uncomfortable with directing love scenes and all of that, if you notice in For Your Eyes Only, even with Cassandra Harris, who did go off to a little beach hut with him, there was no real romance. And so that was my experience, plus just being there on set from 5, we did my shoot from 5 to 5 in the morning, and at the baccarat table. And Roger loved to gamble. He loved it. And he would say, Max, come on with me, let's gamble. Let's go to the other part of the casino, it's open, we can play some baccarat. Or I'd say, well, Roger, I'm not a gambler. Can't gamble, can't lose my money. I'll be very upset if I lose my money. So he kept prodding me, and I kept saying, no, can't do it. And then finally he said, okay, Max, okay. He had a little suitcase right next to him at all times. I never knew what the suitcase was until one night he said, look what they give me. And he opened up the suitcase and it was money. He said, see, this is what they give me to keep me happy so I can gamble. Come and gamble. And I said, Roger, I can't lose your money. I said, I will be so upset if I can't. It's just, something is in me that's like, don't lose the money, don't lose the money. My father was a big thing on losing money. If he gave you money to go to the store, you better come back with the right change and the right money. So I guess that was just something inside of me. And so he couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe that I couldn't gamble with his money. So every night, unbeknownst to me, afterward I would look for it, but he would stuff my pocketbook with money. He would just stuff my little, and I only kept, stupid me, I never went to a bigger pocketbook. I was just carrying this really little pocketbook. And then, he'd stuff it and then he would zip it up. And the first night he did it, when I carried it, I said, gee, what's wrong with my pocketbook? It's like lumpy. But I didn't, it was tired, it was 5 o'clock in the morning going back to the room. And I opened it and I had all his money fell out. I was like, whoa, this is great. So Roger was so, I don't know, he was so personable and so gentlemanly. By the end of my part, I asked him to marry me. Can you marry me? I don't care if you love me, just marry me. Because he was just the perfect, in my eyes, he was the perfect guy. And so he said, well, Max, I'm already married. He said, and my wife is right over there, and she's Italian. I said, say no more. I said, but if you ever think you need another one, I'm here. So my experience with them, he had a birthday on set, and so we had a wonderful time. The other actors that I worked with, Topol and Cassandra Harris and Paul, Paul, and his last name escapes me right now, does a lot of acting in England. So it was a great experience. I cannot ever, it was just such a wonderful experience. And then Roger kept saying to me, Max, are you going to do, I said, no more films. I didn't want to do this one, except it was Bond. And he said, but why? You can do films. I said, well, you know, I think doing Bond is like the epitome. You can't get higher than that. And I know if by doing modeling and getting rejected all the time, I said, if I leave Bond and try to get other films, I'll just be going downhill. So I think I'm going to stay with Bond, do my modeling, and just be happy that I've done this, you know. So that was my experience. It was much more, but thank you very much.
Okay, I'm certainly going to turn this over